Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a look at PYR, Vulcan Forged, and I got a lot of requests today to cover this because it does look like it is bouncing off a potential support level, and we want to kind of take a look and see essentially what might happen next. But thanks again so much to my current community members for requesting that I cover this. I deeply appreciate you, and if you want to become a community member, CryptoCache.tech is the link in the description below, so you can check that out. Of course, I send out signals, have a trading community and trading academy where I teach you essentially how to be a better trader, at least the ways in which I like to trade, which is a little more conservative, but also very a much higher success rate than the average. And I personally just feel like that is a lot to do with just being a patient person and essentially helping, trying to take emotion out of the equation. Easier said than done, totally get that. But anyways, something we could all work on, right? That being said, thanks again for joining me. If you're new to the channel, really appreciate it. So here's the thing with Vulcan Forged. First of all, big picture, we broke through this descending type of pattern, of course, and now we're making an ascending type of pattern. And we actually took entry here closer to about $10 as a community, and our swing trades have been very good. In fact, we almost hit our second profit target here at $20. Barely, I would say, missed it by about 40 cents, but that's perfectly fine. I think we're still likely to hit that because we see this ascending type of pattern here. We're still consistently holding that. Now again, this has only been tested twice. We technically need a third test of this trend line to confirm that it's actually trending. But generally speaking, at this point, it hasn't proven otherwise yet, and it doesn't look like it's willing to want to go much lower than 1350. Let's go ahead and talk about that really quick, because when I said support and resistance levels, oftentimes when you have like a point, because if you look here, if we just kind of draw a line from left to right, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the fifth day, the price increased. In other words, it pretty much had this type of pattern that formed and then broke to the upside. That's a pretty common characteristic. So just bear in mind that consistency at that resistance level broke and created that as a support. The price comes down, coincidentally to this level. People are like, no, we're unwilling to allow the price to go any lower. So the bulls are going to buy at that price point because they feel it's a good value. And if you can see here, obviously, tested the last 3 days in a row and it's held above. So it's a very, very good sign telling us that 1350 is a round number, more so 1340, is essentially a place in which the price is unwilling to go any lower. Okay, that's a very, very good sign, especially on an ascending type of pattern that we have here so far, or continuation. It just kind of implies that yes, we may not see the price break out immediately, but we'll probably see something happen along these lines. And that's generally the concept of how that should work. Again, no guarantees, but it's looking more likely that that could and should be the case. All right, so again, just something to kind of identify. Let's look at some of the other stuff here at standard as well. We also got a bounce off 50 on the RSI. This is extremely important, kind of giving us that relative strength at 50, which is concurrent with 1340 on the price action. So again, 1340 should be the bottom for Vulcan Forged. We also have this, of course, and I don't care too much about the MACD on the 1 day, but this does tell us the overall momentum has shifted from bullish to bearish. But once again, it's easy to say that when you have 4 or 5 strong red days to the downside. So in other words, when you see something like this on the MACD, it just kind of tells you generally that we're trending downwards overall, but this should never be a determining factor for you. So just always take the MACD with a grain of salt. That's kind of my thought process. Just kind of tells you the overall sense of things. Now again, that being said, it doesn't mean that the price may not continue lower, but the likelihood of it is lower too, if that makes sense. Because again, it's a strong support level we're trending into, and we bounced off that effectively. Okay. Again, candle wicks down, yes, that could happen. We could even see a few more candle wicks down too if Bitcoin opens tomorrow, or just in general tomorrow when the market opens. You see Bitcoin, take a nosedive. If that were to happen, Vulcan Forge could very well respond the same way. So please understand that. We're definitely not. There's no certainty in this industry because most things are reliant on Bitcoin. But Vulcan Forge is proving in the last 24 to 48 hours that it's doing contrary of Bitcoin in the sense of doing much better than the overall sense of where Bitcoin's at right now. So if you were to compare this side by side with Bitcoin, we have a lot better performance from Vulcan Forge than we do from Bitcoin. And that's hard to identify right now. Most coins are going sideways or down right now. So just keep that in mind. All right, anyways, that's kind of where we're at there for the 1 day. Let's take a look at the 4 hour. We're under the 50, but over the 200. That's still good. Oftentimes, you'll see the 200-day set moving average work with trend lines. And that's exactly what it's doing so far. So we'll just continue to maintain this trend upwards, essentially stay above the 200 and think we'll be just fine. Heaven forbid price were to come down, it could test that level and bounce, which once again coincides with this trend line here, and we see the way in which the price is appreciating, so to speak. It's increasing, and that's a good sign. Look at the RSI. We are testing 50 on the RSI right now, so you can kind of see on the price action that right around 1440 is a point of contention here as well. So we can go ahead and put this on the chart, just kind of draw a line there as well. Kind of give us perspective that we're probably going to be channel trading between 1340 and 1440, and until we can break above 1440, that'll be kind of somewhat of a tentative resistance, because again, 50 in the RSI is commonly a resistance level and or support depending on which side you're on. We can break above that, I think it'd be a very good sign. Good news is we do have this momentous shift here, so to speak. So again, on the midterm, it's telling us overall the momentum is shifting from bearish to bullish. And this is a good sign because this translates into the one-day time frame. So if you look at the one-day time frame, yes, we had a MACD diverging, but it's going to be less likely to diverge if we have more consistency on a convergence here on the 4-hour. Because again, what happens on the 4-hour translates to the 1 day, what happens on the 1 hour translates to the 4-hour. It all starts with the micro. And this is more of a midterm time frame, the 4-hour, which is why I like it, because it helps us understand that transition that's occurring. 4-hour time frame right now is telling us we're seeing a transition from bearish to bullish, and that will translate to a larger time frame. Okay, so again, all good things in that sense as well. So generally speaking, we're looking pretty good there too. Let's look at the 1 hour and kind of see if there's anything here we can extract. Not a whole heck of a lot. We got to reset up to a 6, down to another 6, now we're to a 5. So again, the more often you test a resistance level, the more likely it is to break. And it does look like it's trying to break through that now. Again, a close above 1440 or 1443, just say round number 1440, would be extremely important and very helpful. We're trending towards that now, but we need to have a good clean break. So it'd be nice to get like 1450 or higher as a round number there, more so specifically, so we can get a kind of definitive line in the sand, kind of letting us know we've broken through that little resistance plane. But it is having trouble with this price point right now. But again, more often you test, the more likely it is to break. Pending Bitcoin doesn't do anything obnoxious, we should see PYR, Vulcan Forged, kind of continue to progress higher. It is making higher lows. And the more often you test a resistance level, the more likely it is to break. So you could even argue here that we are having this ascending type of pattern, and the likelihood of it breaking to the upside is quite high. Okay, again, it's higher than it is lower, if that makes any sense. It's like a 60-40 split if you kind of go with just random statistics, because 98% of statistics are made up on the spot, right? So in that sense, there's no certainty, of course. But again, these breakout type of patterns occur when higher lows are established, and they consistently have a resistance level or a channel that is kind of squeezing itself into. Because as soon as it gets up here, the bear's like, no, we don't want to go any higher. But then when it comes down here, the bulls are like, yeah, we want to go higher, and we're going to keep going higher until it breaks. That's essentially what's happening. So again, good stuff there in that sense too. Last thing to look at is the cloud. We're almost broken above the cloud, and this kind of coalesces somewhat with the 4-hour MACD convergence. When you see a convergence on the MACD on the 4-hour, and then you see a potential break above the cloud, which this is still premature, we're not there yet, but once we are, or if we get there, then we'll have a stronger likelihood of maintaining that price point, and the new support should become 1440, and then the price will continue higher from there. Okay, so most breakouts occur when the price breaks above a cloud, and concurrently we have a 4-hour MACD convergence. Those two things kind of speak the same language. They're both moving averages. They both have that same concept. And I do believe that if you see them both, then that's usually a very, very good sign. I've had great experience in the past, or great success using those two indicators in tandem. So I might recommend you consider that. Again, it's up to you in that sense, but generally speaking, that's kind of where we're at here. Looking pretty darn good though for Vulcan Forged. I would say overall, the general sentiment is that it should increase higher. Yes, we're diverging on the 1 day to an extent, but today's behavior based on it being a weekend and the amount of volume that we're seeing for this being a weekend is actually quite high compared to most. That said, it's a very, very good sign, and the 4-hour time frame, in my opinion, is very transitionary right now. Once we break above that 50-day SMA, close above 1450 as a rough estimate, it'll be a very, very good sign, good step in the right direction. If we can get a close here today on the 1-day candlestick at just say 1460 or higher, keep it, kind of make sure it's a definitive close above, then we're going to be in pretty good shape to probably see the price continue upwards. If it doesn't close above, we might see a retest of that level once more in a 24-hour time frame to kind of maintain that ascending type of pattern. That's essentially where we're at there. So all good stuff in my personal opinion. I think Vulcan Forged has tremendous potential, and I'm very happy that our swing trade should still hit its target. I do think $20 is very realistic. Will it happen tomorrow or the day after? No. But I would say the next couple of weeks we could experience a price point back up there, especially if Bitcoin pulls its head out its ass and turns itself around here in the near future. All right. Again, just be ready for some more shenanigans because Bitcoin hasn't truly found its bottom yet, and we just got to be mindful of that. All right. Watch my other Bitcoin videos if you're curious about what I mean by that. I cover that every single day. All right. Well, I hope you learned something here today. Thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate your time. Look forward to getting to know you better if you want to become a better trader. CryptoCache.tech is a website, link in the description below. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. See you soon.